So you guys all know how much I love jewelry and my bling. And I have great news for you this month. October is Platinum Month at Helzberg Diamonds. Helzberg Diamonds is featuring their new Platinum Prestige collection all freaking month. So in honor of that, I thought I'd provide you with some platinum trivia you may not know. Platinum is actually 30 times more rare than gold. A guy that gives you platinum jewelry is giving you the perfect symbol of his commitment and love. Don't forget it. Platinum is incredibly durable and will truly last forever. It doesn't lose metal when scratched or if it's worn day after day, and it's naturally white. It won't require any dipping or plating, unlike white gold, which will fade over time. And for those of you looking to get engaged, the never fading, never changing platinum band is the ultimate symbol of the lifelong commitment to one another. You know, from earrings to engagement rings to eternity bands and men's bands, you'll find plenty of perfect platinum options at Helzberg Diamond stores. Oh man, I love jewelry.
Visit Helzberg.com/platinum prestige.
Wow. The best laid plans, you know what they always say? They always go to crap, right? So I think it was on Monday, I had a listener who was very impressed with. He said there were some retired Navy SEALs who were on Fox, I guess it was, talking about leadership and what makes a good leader. And the reason the guy called was because we were talking about Hillary Clinton and the Benghazi hearings and how Hillary Clinton just essentially denied any ownership whatsoever of what happened in Benghazi. It was everybody else's fault. And then there was the matter of the fact that she lied about when they knew that it was a terrorist attack on Benghazi in 2012. The very next day, according to an email that was introduced into evidence, that she was talking to the Prime Minister of Egypt saying, listen, we know it had nothing to do with this video. So the listener calls and said, yeah, Hillary's not a leader, and suggested that we get a hold of these retired Navy SEALs who wrote a book about leadership. And they were featured on, apparently, I think it was on Fox News Channel. I said, because our listeners are very smart people, when they make a suggestion, like when a listener makes a suggestion, I say, okay, I'm not aware of that, but I'm going to look into it. So we did. So we thought we had an interview with one or both of the SEALs. And we were all confirmed. We got the copy of the book, etc. I'm holding it in my hand right now. And then we got an email this morning that said, okay, it's not going to be, they're two co-authors, right? They're both SEALs. You're not going to have both of them, and the one that we thought was going to do it is not going to do it. The other guy's going to do it. And I said, okay, so here's the number you call. So we've been calling these numbers. We had multiple numbers. Can't get anybody. If this is their idea of leadership, you know what? I ain't interested. I don't know what happened here. I have to apologize to you because I thought we were going to have these people on the show. It is live radio, and there's not much I can do about it. So it is what it is. But you will note that I'm not mentioning any names, and I'm not mentioning the title of a book because you don't deserve it. Sorry. I think your service to the country was great. I know these guys got multiple decorations, etc. But hey, I don't know, the publicist's fault, their fault. I don't know. I have no idea. So we're gonna move on. I think our odd Pittsburgh guy's out getting a bite to eat, or is he out there? We could bring him back if we want. Our telephone number is 866-391-1020. Here's what I thought we would do is Halloween Eve, and if you had your own little story to tell, have you ever had an instance where you thought, I've just experienced something supernatural that I cannot explain? Give me a call. Our number is 866-391-1020. Meantime, we'll try and find our buddy from Odd, Mysterious, and Fascinating History of Pittsburgh. I think he may have stepped out either for a smoke break or to get something to eat. Because I told him we're going to do this interview, and which we thought we had all, that we were ready to go, and we're not. So what can I do? Anyway, John Shalkowski will be returning in a few minutes. But if you've got your own ghost story, I'll tell mine real quick. Some of you may have heard this one before. Most of the time, I am skeptical about this stuff. There were two things that happened. One of them was one night on KDKA. It was a Halloween thing where we were ghost hunting. And I forget where this was, but I think it was one of the theaters in downtown Pittsburgh. And I forget which one. There was supposedly haunted areas there. We had our ghost hunter psychic, Nancy Zetley, with us. And we were talking about the cold spots that supposedly occur when there is a ghostly presence or something like some supernatural force, that sometimes the room will be a temperature, but there'll be one spot in the room that's like ice cold. Well, we're sitting around this table. It wasn't a seance or anything, but we're live broadcasting, and we're sitting around this table, and she's talking about how she's sensing a presence of something in the room. And suddenly, I had my hand on my lap, and suddenly I got this amazingly cold chill right there on that spot on one hand. Unbelievable. And rather scary. The other instance that I have talked about this as well, this was not on there. This is a long, long time ago, before I got to KDK. I was visiting this tourist attraction in eastern Pennsylvania, and it was they call it a pagoda or something to that effect in Reading, Pennsylvania. I don't even know whether it still exists. It may. It was like a little tourist attraction there. It looked like a Japanese pagoda. You could climb up in the thing. And there was a balcony at almost the top, not quite the top. Walk out on the balcony. Walked out on the balcony. There's a little bench there. And I was married at the time. My wife was there with me. So two people experienced this. We're sitting there. This woman, young woman, in a kimono. I mean, full out, honest to God, dressed to the nines in a kimono, walks out on the balcony, just stands there staring into space. And I'm looking at her and saying, who the heck is this? What's this all about? And she says, oh, it's raining. And then she turns around, she walks back in, and I heard her climb the rest of the stairs to the top of the building. And so we're like looking at each other and said, what was that all about? So we go in right after her. We can hear her going up these stairs, the final couple flights of stairs to the very tip top of this building. So we climb up behind her to see, who is this person? We get to the top, no more footsteps, and no lady in a kimono. And as this happened, both of us had the proverbial hairs standing up on the back of our heads, on the back of our necks, I mean. And in fact, it's happening to me right now when I think about this. To this day, and we talked about this at length, I mean, for hours talking about what the heck, where did that woman go? And we never did find her. We never saw her. We never knew any explanation whatsoever. It was the weirdest thing that I've ever experienced, and to this day, I cannot explain it. Did I see a ghost? Was I hallucinating? Well, if I was, then there were two people hallucinating at the same time. So did we see a ghost? I have no idea. I got 1 minute here. Rick in Uniontown. Rick, give me your thoughts right here in 60 seconds. Go.
I got a quick question. I'm very skeptical when it comes to ghosts and so on and so forth.
As am I.
I have a question. I have deja vu, what they call deja vu a lot.
Yes.
Is that kind of the same thing?
Well, some people think of deja vu. Sometimes I think everybody has deja vu, but there are people who believe that it's not like deja vu as a psychological experience. They believe it's actually a remembrance of a past life. So some people think it's actually more than just deja vu, but I think pretty much everybody has deja vu from time to time because something will trigger something in your mind that you think, wait a minute, I've been here before. Somebody said the same thing the last time that we experienced this. I've been in this place before, even though I don't ever remember being here, but I feel like I was, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I think that's a very real psychological phenomena, but does it mean anything other than that as a psychological phenomena because something that in the present situation that you find yourself in triggers a memory, an actual memory, but now you've conflated the two things? I don't know, because I'm not a psychologist. I tend to believe that. I tend to believe that it's not a recollection of a past life. It's simply a psychological phenomenon that happens to just about every human being. All right, we found John, and he's back. Sorry we shortened your smoke break there, or your food break. We're going to continue with you in just a few minutes. All right, John? More of the odd and mysterious stuff in Pittsburgh with John Schalkowski. We can take your calls, 866-391-1020 if you've got a question, or email me instantAccess@kdka.com.
So you guys all know how much I love jewelry and my bling. And I have great news for you this month. October is Platinum Month at Helzberg Diamonds. Helzberg Diamonds is featuring their new Platinum Prestige collection all freaking month. So in honor of that, I thought I'd provide you with some platinum trivia you may not know. Platinum is actually 30 times more rare than gold. A guy that gives you platinum jewelry is giving you the perfect symbol of his commitment and love. Don't forget it. Platinum is incredibly durable and will truly last forever. It doesn't lose metal when scratched or if it's worn day after day, and it's naturally white. It won't require any dipping or plating, unlike white gold, which will fade over time. And for those of you looking to get engaged, the never fading, never changing platinum band is the ultimate symbol of the lifelong commitment to one another. You know, from earrings to engagement rings to eternity bands and men's bands, you'll find plenty of perfect platinum options at Helzberg Diamond stores. Oh man, I love jewelry.
Visit Helzberg.com/platinum prestige.
Little green onions there. 2:20 now on KDKA. Our number here is 866-391-1020. Or you can send us an instant access email on our Dollar Bank Instant Access. Send it to instantaccess@kdka.com. So joining us again, John Shelkowski, because we didn't finish your stories. Founder of the Odd, Mysterious, and Fascinating History of Pittsburgh on Facebook, Odd Pittsburgh on Facebook, and your email address is oddpittsburgh@gmail.com. So if you have a story to tell, you know about a haunted house or something like that, but you also get into other things too, not just hauntings and stuff like that.
I always like the bizarre and unusual things, you know.
but we're talking about the mysterious stuff. Now, I when you stepped out for a few minutes, I got this instant Dollar Bank Instant Access from Lisa. Lisa says, Mike, because we were talking about the World of Worlds broadcast and how people took it so seriously because it sounded real. Mm-hmm. And Lisa says, you know, this may contradict how some people reacted to the War of the Worlds. During 9/11, she said, I was listening to the radio when they hit the Twin Towers. PBS continued to do their fundraising despite what was going on in New York. I instead listened to your station. I don't know, for whatever that means.
Well, that goes along with belief like we were talking about earlier, how if you change the channel and expect that same news broadcast to be on a different channel.
And so if
it wasn't.
Yeah. But in the case of the War of the Worlds, which was you said 77 years ago tonight,
8 o'clock is when it started. Yeah.
It was actually broadcast on one of our competitors.
Mm-hmm.
KDKA was playing symphony music.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd said to you, wouldn't there be a healthy skepticism where you would have turned over to another station to see if, in fact, they were reporting on this asteroid or meteorite that had crashed and killed 1,000 people, and there were little green men shooting ray guns and all that stuff.
Just check yesterday's paper.
Well, yeah,
for the listings.
And they actually had the listing, so they did their due diligence in terms of, like a warning that this is actually fictional, this is not real, but people didn't hear it. And so they took it as real.
And especially people that weren't listening to the radio. Imagine someone running down your street saying, the Martians are coming. But
you had also said that coincidentally, a month before, a little less than a month before, right?
Right.
An actual meteor did hit near what you said?
Chicora, PA. They call it the Chicora meteorite. It's a couple pieces are still in the Carnegie Museum today.
Okay.
That are on display.
So people who knew that then were hearing about the little green men crashing into the earth with seemingly were meteors, but were actually flying saucers.
Yeah, the story starts off with a meteorite crash. That's how the aliens come here to Earth.
Yeah.
Through
disguised
a meteorite.
as a meteor.
Right. So
okay.
And to put two and two together, and say you're out in some random farm up in Chicora, PA, you might really believe it's the end of the world.
Yeah, and if you heard about this story, then you're going to think, oh, my God, it really is true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's talk about some. You also want to talk about the north side, the Allegheny City.
Yeah, there's a couple interesting
I've never
stories.
even heard of that, but you called it the dark area.
Yeah, the dark place is what the Native Americans called it.
Okay.
Now, you got to remember that when you talk about Pittsburgh history, most people just talk maybe at the most back to the French and Indian Wars, 1850, 1860. They don't really talk too much about what was going on before the French and the Indians and the British were here in Pittsburgh. But you got to remember that Pittsburgh has always been here. It was here 1,000 years ago. It was here 10,000 years ago.
Yeah, they just
here a million years ago.
They didn't call it Pittsburgh. It was
yeah, exactly. Okay. So there's so much history here that is yet will probably never be uncovered, just because of the sheer amount of time that has taken place. But during the legends of the Lenni Lenape people and some of the other Native American tribes that were here, always claimed that the entire north side and all of Allegheny City was they call the dark place, full of monsters, beasts that would hide in the woods. It was very foggy. It was a big forest at the time, and even the Native Americans would stay clear of this area.
Because they believed it was haunted.
Demons,
with
demons and their the Native American spirits that were just many from animals. A lot of animals that were just killed without using their substance from it. See, when Native Americans would kill something, they would pray to it or at least use every part of it so it didn't come to waste. You release that spirit of the animal. They believe that this place was full of spirit animals.
And so this is currently the north side.
Exactly. It's
Okay,
currently
well,
on the north side. Yeah.
The Steelers better look out because the Bengals are going to be there.
Well, they better look out even worse because the stadium, where the stadium is today,
Yes.
that was an island called Smoky Island.
Wait a minute, where Heinz Field is today.
Correct. Where Heinz Field is today, that was a little area called Smoky Island. It was once an island, a sandbar, basically.
Okay. And it was full of demons.
No, this is even worse because this is a true life tale where during the French and Indian Wars, if they captured the British, they would bring you to this island and torture you, and full view of your family that was living down at Fort Pitt and old Fort Duquesne as well.
Yeah.
And then I'm talking burning at the stake, scalping people, running, dancing around, and being covered in their blood, and taunting the people that were at the point. And this was this island lasted until about 1820s. It appears on every early map of Pittsburgh. And then after that, it just disappears from maps.
All right, we're gonna pick it up in the next half hour. John Shalkowski is with us on this Halloween Eve. Founder of the Odd, Mysterious, and Fascinating History of Pittsburgh. He's on Facebook, Odd Pittsburgh. His email address, if you want to share some stories with him on your own, oddpittsburgh@gmail.com. We continue coming up. Well, I don't know about you, but I love this stuff. And John Shalkowski of the Odd, Mysterious, and Fascinating History of Pittsburgh was just telling me a moment ago. He said, "Hey, you know the National Aviary is haunted too." I'm a member of the Aviary. I had no idea. So we're going to talk about that coming up. More to come. 866-391-1020 with John Shalkowski, founder of the Odd, Mysterious, and Fascinating History of Pittsburgh. We're talking specifically kind of focusing on the hauntings, the ghost sightings, and all that kind of stuff in our past here in Pittsburgh. So more coming up. KDKA celebrating 95 years of broadcasting, and we could not have done it without you. Record your KDKA memory by calling 412-353-1155, 412-353-1155, or you can post it on Facebook or Twitter and add the hashtag KDKA95. Your KDKA memories are presented by Westinghouse. For more KDKA memories, visit kdka.com/memories.
So you guys all know how much I love jewelry and my bling. And I have great news for you this month. October is Platinum Month at Helzberg Diamonds. Helzberg Diamonds is featuring their new Platinum Prestige collection all freaking month. So in honor of that, I thought I'd provide you with some platinum trivia you may not know. Platinum is actually 30 times more rare than gold. A guy that gives you platinum jewelry is giving you the perfect symbol of his commitment and love. Don't forget it. Platinum is incredibly durable and will truly last forever. It doesn't lose metal when scratched or if it's worn day after day, and it's naturally white. It won't require any dipping or plating, unlike white gold, which will fade over time. And for those of you looking to get engaged, the never fading, never changing platinum band is the ultimate symbol of the lifelong commitment to one another. You know, from earrings to engagement rings to eternity bands and men's bands, you'll find plenty of perfect platinum options at Helzberg Diamond stores. Oh man, I love jewelry.
Visit Helzberg.com/platinum prestige.
All right, so back with John Shalkowski, and he is the founder of the Odd, Mysterious Pittsburgh. Odd Pittsburgh is his Facebook handle, so you check out that page on Facebook, Odd Pittsburgh. And also you can email him if you want to send him some information or a story of your own or a haunted house or something weird in Pittsburgh's past that you'd like him to be aware of. His email address is oddpittsburgh, which is a lot easier than trying to spell his last name, oddpittsburgh@gmail.com. All right, so you told we were in a little break and you said, well, you know the National Aviary is haunted. I said, wait a minute, I'm a member of the Aviary. Mm-hmm. I've never felt any hauntings over there. So talk about that.
It's a well-known and well-reported haunting. Many claim that it's leftovers from a Civil War prisoners that were once held at Western Penitentiary. Now, the Aviary, if you did not know, sits in the exact same spot as Western Penitentiary, the original Western Penitentiary.
Well, wait a minute, because the Western Penn is like way down the river.
Right, where it was moved. Correct.
Okay, because there's a bike path now that kind of ends there. And,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, the original prison stood about 1820. In fact, it became more famous when Charles Dickens came to Pittsburgh in the 1842. He came as a tour from England, and he toured the prison.
Okay.
He said the conditions were so horrible in that prison in 1842, and people were chained up and forced to wear like balls and chains, that he based the character Jacob Marley and the way that he looked on the conditions that he saw at Western Penitentiary while he was in Pittsburgh.
Who knew? Okay, but now the Aviary sits on that same property.
Right. Now, if you look at an overlaid map of the same exact area throughout the time, including when the Aviary is here today, all the way back to the 1820s, it is clearly a cemetery buried right next to the building.
Why is it that buildings, things they build over cemeteries end up being haunted? Why is that?
Some say it's a restless soul. They just want to be left alone.
It's in the movies. It's in real life.
And now
right?
You're not leaving them alone and not remembering them, just like we were talking earlier.
Isn't that what happened with Poltergeist? There was an Indian burial ground there in the movie. Oh,
exactly.
Okay. Well, right.
And now the aviary themselves probably do not have an idea that the cemetery is located there. This is something that only if you have a map from these early days would you know where it's located.
Yeah, but didn't you just tell me that the National Aviary does their own little haunted ghost tour?
Yeah, and that's where the evidence backs up those stories.
Okay. All right. So what weird things, to your knowledge, have happened at the aviary that indicate that there's
people
something?
Claim a lot of cold spots that are unusual, even in the middle of summer. You'd be walking around, all of a sudden it feels like it's 30 degrees in there.
Okay.
People have been heard walking up and down the steps. People have seen visions of these Civil War soldiers.
Really?
Yeah, left over from a battle called Morgan's Raid during the Civil War, which was the closest skirmish to Pittsburgh. And they captured these men and they put them in the prison there.
You also told me that we should talk about the public executions that used to occur in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
All
So
right, go ahead.
Public execution was a very, very commonplace thing here in Pittsburgh.
I think they should do that again, frankly, but they need to carry it out swiftly.
Right, yeah. And this one wasn't necessarily swiftly. It was a hanging. But the last person was named John Tiernan, and he killed a woman out and was sentenced to death by hanging. The judge himself was the one who released the trap door to the gallows here downtown. And the gallows were located at the corner of Ross Street and Grant, exactly where the open part is of the old Allegheny Jail.
Right. Okay.
Now, what they used to do with the bodies after you died was just bury you right underneath the gallows.
Well, it's as good a place as any, right?
Yeah. So
so now you're going to tell me there's hauntings there now, today, in the courthouse?
There could be many different explanations of some weird occurrences and weird happenings downtown Pittsburgh. You got to remember, too, how many people died downtown Pittsburgh. You could throw a rock in any direction and hit where someone's probably buried or died.
Well, it's a very old city when it comes down to. For the United States, and as you pointed out, there were Native Americans here long before.
The cemetery is down at the point.
Yeah,
there's 3 cemeteries.
I have a couple of headlines here that I wanted to get to. But let me grab Pam here she just dialed in. Pam, can you succinctly ask the question?
Yeah, I wanted to know if your guest has had any knowledge of anything in the Frick House, because I took a tour of it and I felt real uneasy, and I asked the tour guide at the end, and he seemed to be a little upset. And
that you asked about hauntings, or?
Well, I said, is there a ghost, or is anything strange happened here? And he kind of was upset that I asked that, and he said no.
Do you know of anything?
Yeah. In fact, it's a very well-reported haunting there at Clayton, which is the Frick home.
Okay.
And it's said to be some of the children of the Frick, of Henry Clay Frick, and also some of the different, just all their stuff is still there. I mean, if you go up into the 3rd floor, which you're not allowed to go into, it's all of their belongings are still packed away. It's just like they're still living there.
Well, so why would the guy would be? She said he didn't like her asking about that, or are they trying
some
to?
People are a little.
They're above all of that.
Yeah,
or?
some people want to concentrate more on the house, more on the history, the location.
Still.
I mean, and it's important to talk about these ghosts and these haunting, because you're remembering these people, these stories. If I didn't mention these ghosts of that John Friel, would you have any idea what that kid's name was?
The guy was clawing his eyes out there, coming out of that bizarre house.
Okay. Yeah, these are ways to remember people, not just a spooky tale.
I'll remember that for sure. All right, now here's one of our listeners wrote in on Dollar Bank Instant Access. Instant Access at KDKA.com is the address. Gene writes, Mike, I don't know whether or not you talked about this yet, but there was a demonic presence in a home in Brentwood on Brownsville Road. The home was and is still owned by Bob Cranmer, former Allegheny County Commissioner. He wrote a book about it, The Demon of Brownsville Road. Actually, we interviewed him about that. We had Father Ron was in here from the Catholic Diocese of Pittsburgh, that they were involved in I guess you would call it an exorcism or something similar to get this. Now, your thoughts on that?
Well, that particular story, and I mean, I was on the waiting list for that book, and the day it came out. I was reading it.
Okay, all right.
And it's a very interesting story. Emphasis on
I'm getting the feeling
story.
I'm getting the feeling that you're not a believer.
No. That one in particular, when it comes to backing up all the evidence that's come before from the previous owners who did live there, many who have been found and contacted all claim nothing has ever happened to them. Why has it all of a sudden happened now?
Okay.
Now, there might be actually something to why it was happening when Bob was living there, and with just the family issues in the house. and how the psychological effects can manifest themselves sometimes. They say
But you don't think it was anything supernatural?
No, I don't believe it's some kind of demon
you aren't buying
or the walls are bleeding or anything like that.
But now you okay, we have a minute here before we're going to check on traffic, and we'll continue the conversation in the next segment if we don't finish it now. But you also have told me that you have been involved in paranormal investigations.
Yeah, ever since I was a teenager.
So you're not. I mean, you said that you're a skeptic on these things, and yet you are telling us these stories.
Yeah.
And you do believe that some of these stories have some validity.
Yeah, the skeptic is the definition of a truth seeker.
Okay, but you do investigations.
Absolutely.
Okay, and you've done some here in Pittsburgh and surroundings.
Yeah, and some that are very legitimate.
And you've said that you've had some experiences.
Absolutely.
All right, so when we continue, can you share a couple of those with us?
Of course.
All right, so John Shalkowski is the founder of the Odd, Mysterious, and Fascinating History of Pittsburgh. Find him on Facebook. You can contact him there, the Odd Pittsburgh page. Odd Pittsburgh, all one word. Or you can email him if you like, oddpittsburgh@gmail.com.
So you guys all know how much I love jewelry and my bling. And I have great news for you this month. October is Platinum Month at Helzberg Diamonds. Helzberg Diamonds is featuring their new Platinum Prestige collection all freaking month. So in honor of that, I thought I'd provide you with some platinum trivia you may not know. Platinum is actually 30 times more rare than gold. A guy that gives you platinum jewelry is giving you the perfect symbol of his commitment and love. Don't forget it. Platinum is incredibly durable and will truly last forever. It doesn't lose metal when scratched or if it's worn day after day, and it's naturally white. It won't require any dipping or plating, unlike white gold, which will fade over time. And for those of you looking to get engaged, the never fading, never changing platinum band is the ultimate symbol of the lifelong commitment to one another. You know, from earrings to engagement rings to eternity bands and men's bands, you'll find plenty of perfect platinum options at Helzberg Diamond stores. Oh man, I love jewelry.
Visit Helzberg.com/platinum prestige.
And we continue one last segment here with John Shalkowski. John, thank you for coming in today.
Oh, you're welcome.
We appreciate this. This was actually a recommendation from our morning show host, Andy Limburg, who was working with me today. Did I call him a host? Look at that! I promoted Andy to host. I hope you're listening, Andy. And Larry Richards out there saying, "Wait a minute, Andy's a host." No, wait a minute. Hold on a second here. I misspoke. I'm so sorry. Andy Limburg is the producer of the morning news with Larry and John, and he was actually working with me today because we had a little snafu going on here today. And I said, I'm really looking for something fun this afternoon because there's not a lot of hard news that I want to talk about right now other than politics, and I get tired of talking about politics. So Andy suggested you, and I appreciate you coming in.
No problem.
All right. So you're a skeptic about these haunted stuff that we've been talking about, these haunted places in Pittsburgh and these stories. But you have done the investigations, and
Absolutely.
you have had experiences that lead you to believe, that this stuff is real?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, talk about it.
Yeah, I have a great example. And this house is involved on Evergreen Road in Ross Township.
Okay.
The home itself is one of the oldest houses in Pittsburgh. It was built in 1812. So it's an old one.
All right.
And the owner was a Revolutionary War soldier named Jacob Weitzel, who passed away in this home. Not violently or anything like that, but just passed away. Just normal, everyday things.
Wait a minute. When was this house built?
1820.
1820. So 1776 was when the nation was founded. So he was still alive when they... Okay.
Yeah, and then his whole family lived... In fact, the family continued living there until 1910. That's how long this Weitzel family owned this home.
All right.
And now... While there's not any reportings of hauntings or anything back in 1910 for this house, there are many coming up following, which is 1930s, there's reportings, 1950s, there's other reportings. Almost every person who's ever lived in this house has reported something or
okay, so you go to investigate.
I get a call to investigate this house. As a historian and a researcher, that's what I base all my facts on. So I research the history of the house. That's why I can tell you everyone that's ever lived there, ever died there. Every old house has people that die in it. Doesn't make it necessarily haunted.
Okay.
So I go in there right away as a skeptic. I go into this house by myself. And this is the middle of the day, mind you, and maybe June. It's not like a haunted time.
Okay.
I'm walking around. I start getting these weird smells, things that not normally would be experienced in this abandoned. This house has been abandoned. It still is abandoned for the last 7 years or so. And I started getting smells like a cookout was happening. But inside the home, it's very overwhelming smell. You go outside the door, there's nothing. I started taking just photographs of the inside of the house because I was curious in the history of the home, more so than even the people that were supposedly haunting this place. And in almost every photograph, there's weird things. I have this mist appears in a photograph. I have a full-blown apparition of a woman in one of these.
And this isn't a photograph.
It's a photograph.
How is it? Okay, but did you actually see the woman when you took the photograph?
No, I mean I felt like there was someone there with me, and no doubt about that. I had
I'm getting the proverbial goose flesh right now. Once again, we're sitting here in a lighted studio, and I'm actually freaked out right now. But how is it that these images occur on a photograph?
Some say you can capture this energy and these.
But you can't.
hauntings.
But you're taking the picture and you're not seeing anything.
No,
but when you print the photograph,
I had one that's even more disturbing. I didn't know. I was there in 200010 is when I investigated this house.
Was it digital or film?
It was a digital camera.
So it happens with digital cameras.
Yeah,
okay.
and I was just taking random photos of the house.
Okay,
I was not looking for anything.
Okay,
and there was an interesting old doorknob with a skeleton key hole. And I took a picture of that because it's a neat door handle. You don't see those too often. Just this year, I posted on my own personal Facebook page, and somebody's like, "Do you see that in that keyhole?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" I go look at the picture. This is clear as day. There's somebody looking through this keyhole in this photograph, and this door was wide, like propped open against a door. There was no way for anybody to be there.
And somebody's looking in the.
It's just clear. It's the scariest.
This is
the creepiest photo I've ever seen.
This is not photoshopped. You didn't
to know that I was standing there taking these photos, and for this something to be looking through the other side.
And where is this house again? Because we're just about.
It's on Evergreen Road.
Evergreen Road,
right, almost behind Valiant's Diner. If you're familiar with that.
And nobody lives in it now.
Nope, it's still abandoned. It's boarded up right now currently. But.
Somebody's looking through the keyhole.
Yeah, it's the most disturbing photo I've ever taken. I think.
And where's this photo? Right, where can we see this?
I'll post to the KDKA news page.
Okay, so later on this afternoon it'll be there.
It's pretty terrifying.
I'll tell you what, John. Happy Halloween, right?
Yeah, happy Halloween, everybody.
John, I know you got lots more stories that we didn't get to. We tried
thousands. I got thousands.
All right. Well, you're going to come back, although not today because I'm done. We're both done at this point. John Shalkowski, founder of the Odd, Mysterious, and Fascinating History of Pittsburgh. His Facebook page is Odd Pittsburgh. You can email him, contact him, oddpittsburgh@gmail.com. John, appreciate it very much.
Hey, thanks again, Mike.
Take care. 2:55. Halloween Eve. Robert Mangino here with Shelley, and what's on the show this afternoon?
We have a number of things when it comes to Halloween coming up later on in the show. On the important side, though, we start off with Syria. We are putting boots on the ground. We'll talk to Major Mike Lyons about the latest move out of the White House. Also, the RNC deciding to suspend its ties with NBC over the debate with CNBC. We'll get into that coming up later on. And the story out of South Carolina with the police officer dealing with that one student. Apparently, the training of school resource officers is not all the same. What can be done to improve relations? That and more coming up.